one of these hacks completely changed the way I create. Seriously. Welcome, creative friends. Today I'm testing viral card making hacks to see if they're actually worth trying, even if you're more of a scrapbooker than a card maker. I've just watched a bunch of card making hack videos from Simon Hurley, Cathy Zielske, and our card making queen, Jennifer Guire, and I found the best hacks I really want to try. I'll be putting them all to the test, showing you exactly how they work and giving them each a star rating so you know which ones I like the best. And if I can do them, so can you. I've even created cards with them so you can see these hacks in action. Now, I will admit I was a little skeptical, but there was one hack that really surprised me, and it is sure to become a permanent part of my creating process. It's a game changer, even for scrapbook layouts. This first one is a great way to get more use out of your cover plate dies. I'm going to start this hack by die cutting out my cover plate die just in the regular way. This does work with any of the dies you may have, but I found the effect to be best with the cover plate ones. I am going to work in my Misty here, but I would not recommend it as the sides got in the way as I was ink blending. I'm essentially going to use this die cut piece as a mask, and I found a fantastic hack for creating with masks, which I'll share later in the video. I've used a blending tool to apply the ink in separate areas over the stencil. So they are blended together, but there are areas that are more pink and then other areas that are more yellow. I'm going to add the complementary ink color to each of the edges. So the sections that are pink will get the pink edge, and then the other sections that are yellow will get the yellow ink on the edge. And I'm going to do this for both pieces. This technique is a 2-for-1 because now you can use these separate pieces on separate cards. So here's how the cards turned out. I did want to show you these side by side so that you can see the difference. So this one was created using the die cut itself, the one that we colored as part of the process of creating this background. So essentially, this is the negative to this shape here. I love them both, and I like that it's a great way that you can create 2 cards at once. These are quite simple designs. I haven't gone crazy here, and these cards came together pretty quickly. I'm going to give this hack 5 stars. Any hack that gets more use out of an expensive supply is a win for me. It's beginner friendly, it's simple, and I love it. But it's not my favorite hack that I'll share with you today. This next hack is a super simple way for you to use your layering stencils, especially if you're not very confident working with them. For this next hack, you will need a stamp tool. Anyone will do. I'm working with my Misty today. I'm going to use the bottom corner of the Misty to help me align all of my layering stencils. Now, these stencils do always come with an alignment marker, so you can line them up as you stack them. However, I find those guides to be a little bit tricky to work with, and even if you're off by the smallest amount, you can tell when you get to your finished product. This hack means that you don't have to be so precise because you're using the edge of your Misty there to line up each of the layers. All you need to do is make sure that your stencil is pushed very firmly up against that corner there, and the corner actually holds it nicely into position. I'm going to work with 4 colors here, one for each of the layers in the stencil, so you can easily see just how well aligned everything turns out. loving how this is turning out, and I figured out a way to take it to the next level. I'm now going to use 2 layers of the stencil and add some Versamark ink and some clear embossing powder. I want to add an extra detail here and some dimension, so I will end up embossing all of the green leaves as well as the pink floral elements. I think this is my new most favourite way to create a card base. I love how this turned out. Now, if you find it hard to align your card front to your card base, I have the best hack for you. Add your tape as normal around all of your edges, but whatever you do, do not pull it all off. Just remove sections of the tape like so. You want those little pieces of the backing there to stick out over the edges. You'll now be able to fine tune the position of the card front and then pull the tape away when you know it's in the right position. I've been doing this for years on cards and scrapbook layouts, and it always works a treat. Here's a closer look at how this one turned out. I have added stitching around the border, and I did add that embossing to 2 layers of the 4 in the stencil. So I've added it to the leaves and these pink areas here. I love the detail. This one is one of my favorites that I've created today because it's super simple and the detail is in that stenciling. I like this one a lot. It actually turned out better than I had expected, and I love that I was able to add that embossing. So I'm thinking, as long as the manufacturers have set the stencils up in this same way, this is going to work. So I give this one 4 stars. For this next hack, you'll need Versamark ink and some clear embossing powder. You'll also need a background stamp, and you want to choose a design that has a lot of contrast in it. This hack will work the best with designs that will hold a lot of ink. Be sure to cover the entire surface area and move quickly to add your embossing powder. It's now time for my favourite part. Let's watch the magic happen. Now's the time to really bring this look together. I've pulled out some Distress Oxide ink and a blending brush. You'll want to apply this in circular motions across the embossed image. And don't worry if some of the ink sits on top of that embossing. We'll fix that here in a moment. Once you're happy with your ink blend, you can then take a baby wipe and gently wipe off any of the excess ink that's sitting on top of the embossing. It comes off quite easily, so no need to apply very much pressure at all. Here's a look at a completed card using this technique. Now, what I did learn along the way was this idea works best when you're using a dark pigmented ink. The resist stands out more predominantly when you use dark ink compared to light ink. So this one is Faded Jeans Distress Oxide, and I just love the monochromatic look that this card has. Again, it's really simple and came together really quickly. It's this technique that helps it to shine. If you're wondering about any of the inks, the stamps, or the die cuts I've used, I'll be sure to link as many as possible in the description box below. I love this one too. I think the look is really elevated, and I like how it looks a little more complicated than it actually is. There are a few steps involved, so maybe it's not the best for absolute beginners, but I really love the result. So I'll give this one 4 stars. If you like this video, then please like this video and press that subscribe button like a sticker to a scrapbook. I can't wait to spend more time crafting with you. Now, if you're the kind of creative that needs to batch create cards, this next hack is for you, because if it works, it could make the process so much faster. Let's see. Now this hack centers around a stamp platform. I'm using my Misty, but it will work on any stamping platform that you have. Oh yes, and it's especially for your layered stamps. The idea here is to help you create your layers more quickly, and we're going to be working with the bottom right-hand corner and the top right-hand corner of the platform. So step 1 is to stamp your base image, so the first layer, and I found that it's best to stamp that in the lightest colour ink that you want to use. Oh yes, and I've just bought myself this. It's a stamp glide tool, and I don't know how I've lived without it. It makes stamping so much easier, and it was really inexpensive. So the first image has been stamped as per normal. For the second layer of the stamp, we're going to use the top right-hand corner. Finding the right way up for these layered sets can be tricky sometimes, and I do have a hack for that. I'll get to that in a bit. I'm now going to use the second lightest colour of ink to stamp this second layer. You'll also notice that that first layer, the stamp, is still in position, so you need to make sure that that's wiped off and clear of any ink. The big time-saving idea here is now I should be able to go between this bottom section and the top section and add these 2 layers to cards very quickly. So that was my test run, and yes, it worked pretty well until I decided to change up my colours and create 3 florals, which I'm going to use on a card. The other rookie mistake that I made was using up some paper scraps. So the first part of the process was going along perfectly normally and everything was fine. What I didn't account for though was that for every paper scrap that I'm using, the card itself is a different size. It made no sense to me at first. The math just wasn't mathing. I thought I had fixed it by repositioning that floral the first time and then wasn't actually paying too much attention and re-stamped it only to find that it was out again. And it was at this point that I realised that it's because the paper sizes are different. The distance from that top edge down to the flower is going to be different every time. So this hack is not going to work if you're working with paper scraps. Your papers need to be exactly the same size. So keep that in mind if you want to give this one a try. You also have to remember to clean off the stamp every single time. So each time you switch between the bottom and the top, you need to remember to clean that other stamp off. Because I was using up my paper scraps, I had to adjust that top stamp every single time. I'm going to give this hack 1 star because I just don't think it's that helpful, especially because you have to clean off the stamp each time you make an impression. But maybe I'm missing something. If it were up to me, I would stamp all of the first images first and then change out the stamp once and then stamp all the second images. Maybe I am missing something. Are you ready for the hack that is game changing? Well, here it is. Simon recommended a product called Pixie Spray to hold stencils in place. It's a repositionable adhesive. Now, it's quite hard to find here and very expensive. I'm all about using what I have, so I'm going to try this. This is Helmer repositionable adhesive, and I use this on my silhouette cutting mats to get them sticky again. So I'm going to use this on the stencils and we'll see how it goes. Welcome to my garden. Yes, I'm outside because I do need to spray the back of the stencil with this adhesive. The spray does go everywhere and you don't really want to be breathing this in, so I would recommend you doing it outside. Once it's dry, you'll be able to feel that tacky surface on the back. Now let's test it. I'm giving this a very good shake and it's not budging. So it's time to add some ink. moved the stencil around several times to create my background, and every time it stuck again perfectly.
This hack gets 5 stars. I love this, and I will be using this every time I go to use a stencil, whether it's on a scrapbooking layout or for a card. It just gives me so much more confidence when using the stencil, knowing that it's stuck down and it's not going anywhere. While I do have my stencils out, I do have another hack for you. Let me show you how you can use your stencils to emboss. You'll just need a regular stencil, any of those plastic ones that you have. As long as it fits through your cutting machine, it will work. Let me show you how.
So here's my stencil, and I've also grabbed a piece of smooth cardstock. To get this to work, you need a very specific sandwich for your die cutting machine. You need a standard plate, then your cutting plate, then a rubber embossing mat. Next, add your stencil and then an impression pad. Be sure to only run it through your machine once and you'll be left with this beautifully embossed image. It's not super easy to see on camera here, but the result is so lovely, and I'm going to use this technique for the background of a card, which I'll get to here in a moment. I tested several stencils and they all worked really well.
This hack gets 4 stars. I really love the look of the embossed stencil. It's a little bit delicate and soft, which is really my style, so I would definitely give this one a try. So you've just seen how you can emboss with your stencils. Did you know you can also emboss with your dies? And it's a great way to get even more use out of them. Here's how it works.
This will work with any die that you choose. I really like to use cover plate dies because I can easily create a background for my card. Start with your standard platform, then add a cutting plate. Next is the rubber embossing mat and then your die. Position that face down and then add your impression plate. Run it through your machine just the once and you'll be left with a beautifully embossed die. You can of course use this just as it is, but I like to add ink because I feel like it really brings out that embossing. You can see how the embossing really stands out now, especially since I've used 2 different tones of ink.
This hack I'm going to give 3 stars. I do like the look of it, but it is a lot of work to get that sandwich through my die cutting machine. There's a lot of pressure there. I am wondering, how good would this be for your machine if you're doing it a lot? I guess I'm saying try this hack with caution. And here's what it looks like on a card. I love this one. I love how simple it is, but how it looks a little bit fancy, and it's not hard to do at all, and it gets an extra use out of those dies. This is just a die cut piece of cardstock and then some die cuts from my scrapbook stash. I also want to show you the other 2 cards that I created with this die, just so you can see all of the techniques in one frame. So this is the die cut just out of cardstock and then inked. This is it being used as a stencil to create the background. And then this is what it looks like when it's embossed. So 3 very different looks, all with the same die cut cover plate. So I'm really loving this. I can see so many possibilities here. This next hack is perfect if you're a tentative stamper like me. Did you know you can use acetate to test out your stamped image before you commit it to a card?
So I'm working some more with my layered stamp set here, and I'm having a lot of trouble deciding which way is up for this next layer. I'm going to position it using my best guess, but because this is the 3rd layer to my stamp, I don't want to go making a mistake and have to redo those first 2 layers. So here's where the hack comes in. I'm going to test my next layer of stamping on top of a piece of clear acetate. The acetate will show me exactly where my new stamping will be. It will also protect all of the work I've done so far. I can truly test out the stamp position, and even my ink ink colours, knowing that I'm not going to be doing any damage to my previous layers. I can use the acetate over and over again. I just need to make sure to clean very thoroughly in between trial runs.
I love this hack. This one gets 5 out of 5 stars too. It gives me so much confidence to be able to trial and test out things before I waste precious cardstock. I'm a very indecisive creative, so having a technique that allows me to see what something's going to look like before I commit to it is a win. And here's a look at the completed card. Now this one uses several of the hacks I've shared today, including the embossing with stencils idea, and that's all in the background there. I have inked over the stencil just to help it stand out a little more. The florals were stamped with a Misty, and the technique I shared where you can use acetate to make sure that you've got everything positioned beautifully before you go ahead and stamp your image. I've embossed the outlines just for a little bit of extra dimension and stamped and embossed the sentiment. This is just a strip of velvet ribbon that I've run down the side. It kind of anchors the design, and that one's complete. I think this one is super pretty look, and I love that I was able to combine some of the hacks I've shared today to create this card. It's one thing to share hacks and ideas, but you don't really know that they work until you get to apply them to a project like this. It's more important than ever to stop hoarding your stash. We've recently seen supply chain issues and craft supply costs soar. I'm on a mission to get even more use out of the supplies I already own. I very recently shared a fun way to get more out of those common stamp and die sets. So much more. If you missed that video, be sure to watch it next. I'll see you all again very soon. Until then, bye.